So we are back, and as promised, we are talking about hypertension because this week it's hypertension week. So we want to demystify this. We want to create an awareness around this, and of course, we have an expert. As I said, he is a cardiac clinician. He has been here before, and we're glad to have you back, Dr. George Ikahu.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, where do I start? I want you to first tell us, when is one diagnosed with hypertension? When is one told you have hypertension?
One is told you have hypertension when you go to a hospital, they check your blood pressure, and it's found to be over 140 over 90. Over 90. So when we do a blood pressure test, it gives us two numbers. So there is one that we call systolic. That is when the heart is pumping blood. And there is one called diastolic. That is the pressure and the heart has relaxed to receive blood. After it pumps, then it has to relax to receive more blood, and it pumps.
Okay, so when the heart is pumping blood, 140 is too high, and when it's relaxing, 90 is too high still.
So when it's pumping blood, it is pumping against a pressure that is over 140, because it's pumping to your blood vessels. So this pressure is the one that is in those blood vessels.
Okay.
So when that pressure that the heart is pumping against is over 140, that is systolic, that is high. And when the heart relaxes and the pressure in the blood vessels is over 90, then again that is high and you have high blood pressure. So anything from that is above 140 over 90, it's high blood pressure, but now depending on the level or the number, then we are able to categorize that. So there is grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, depending on how high it is.
All right, and we'd want, of course, for you to tell us the different grades that there are. But so hypertension is when you have high blood pressure. That is clear enough for everyone.
Yeah.
But is it like a one-off when? Because sometimes there's one time I took someone to the hospital and their pressure was very high, but that was the only time that their pressure was that high. So is it again after a recurrent situation that one is told that you have high blood pressure, or is it when it's just up then you have high blood pressure?
If you go to a hospital and your blood pressure is over 140 over 90, and that is the first time that we've been told that, we give you a chance. We tell you that we don't have to give you medication now. We can try other things, like you can try and change your lifestyle, like the kind of food you eat, exercise and all that. And you are given a period of 3 months.
Okay.
Yes, before we start giving you medication. So it's not a one-off thing. So if you come, sometimes some people, they can be nervous, or they could be in pain. So you can't just rely on that one.
Result. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you have mentioned that different stages or different grades of hypertension.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
So 140 to 159, that is grade 1, then or stage 1, depending, Europeans, Americans,
they use different terms.
Yeah, they use different terms. And then 160 to 180, that is 2, and then over 180, now that is grade 3.
Now that is extreme.
Yeah, and that is extreme, but again, it is important that our viewers realize that you can come to me, or you can go to a hospital and your blood pressure is above even 200.
Yeah.
But you came walking. It's only that when we checked your blood pressure, we found that it was high. What we used to do, we used to give someone some medication that would lower their blood pressure very fast. But studies have shown that that should not happen.
Why?
Because your organs are accustomed to getting blood at that pressure.
Okay.
So when you lower it so fast, you can actually affect your internal organs. Yes. So it's important for our guys to know that, because it is still happening, especially in the mashinani. Guys are still being given that medication, and so it is important for guys to know, so that when you go there and they tell you that your pressure is too high, we need to lower it, it is upon you to ask that question. Or, you know, because when you ask the question, maybe that guy will remember, oh yeah, you're not supposed to. Yes.
So what are you supposed to be given when your pressure is 200?
I'm supposed to actually ask you questions. Maybe you've not been taking your medication. Maybe there's something else that is happening to your body. Maybe you have an infection. Maybe you are in pain. Okay. So there could be so many reasons why it is that high.
But that is for someone who already has been diagnosed with hypertension.
Yes.
But for someone who's just gone to the hospital and they've never had the problem and they're told your blood pressure is too high, it's at 200. So what should be done at that particular point in time?
Okay, you can be having that high blood pressure, but you have some complication. So we actually divide it, is it an emergency or urgency? Urgency is this patient, the one I was describing. Yes, your pressure is 200 plus, but you don't have any symptoms of a condition like you don't have stroke, your kidneys are working well and all that. But there are guys who will come, but their kidneys are not working well, they have a stroke. Maybe that's someone who has come with heart failure and many other conditions. So those ones are treated as an emergency, and yes, those ones we try to lower the blood pressure a bit faster. But the one who doesn't have symptoms, you walked to the office, but you know, you just walked in, you don't have a headache, you don't have you know, your heart is okay.
You are probably going because you have had a flu.
Yeah, exactly. So there is that difference again. So there are those who we treat as an emergency, and there are those who we treat as hypertensive urgency. Those ones we just tell them, continue with your medication and check your blood pressure. If it's not going to be lowered, then you can come back, maybe we add the dose or we add another medication, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And looking at the different grades or stages that you have mentioned, the 120 to 159, 160 to 180 and above that. Now, what is the difference between, like, what differentiates them? Do they have different medication? Is one at a higher risk? You know, what is the difference between these two?
Yeah, the higher your pressure is, your risk of getting complications is higher. It is important for also our guys to understand that we don't treat your pressure so that it goes away. We treat it because we know that it causes complications. And those are the things that will take you to go and see your God. An early visit to your
to your America. Not ready for that.
Yes. Okay. So that's why we actually insist on managing high blood pressure, because most people, yes, most people don't take their medication because one thing about high blood pressure is that it does not have any pain. So people don't feel any pain. So people don't understand why they are taking their medication every day, yet to them they don't feel any pain. In our society, being sick is having pain.
Yeah.
That is what we associate sickness, pain. But high blood pressure it doesn't have. But actually it is the leading cause of death in the world.
In the world, actually, number one, and I was just about to mention that.
Yes.
And it's categorized as a silent killer.
It is.
So, you know, a silent killer, what does that mean? Is it because it doesn't present symptoms at first, or you just realize it when it's too bad? Or is it because you don't feel bad in your body and then suddenly something just happens?
Exactly. And that's what I was trying to tell our guys. Silent killer, because, and that's why we give people medication. And that's why I was insisting on the importance of taking medication. Because if you do not take your medication, then the complications that come with it happen slowly. And that's why one day you wake up and you're told, oh, your neighbor fell and died.
Just like that?
Just like that. Because this condition affects your blood vessels. And blood vessels are all over your body. You have blood vessels in your brain, your eyes, your heart, your kidney, your lower limbs. So you can get complication of any organ. And that's why we see guys getting conditions like stroke,
Just some of the complications.
heart failure, heart attacks, kidney failure. Some guys even have their legs amputated. Some even lose their eyesight because their blood vessels have been affected, and the way they are affected is that slowly by slowly there is build-up of what is known as cholesterol.
Okay.
And then
So that is just before you continue.
Yes.
What causes high blood pressure is the level of cholesterol in one's body.
No, actually, high blood pressure in 100 guys, 95% we can't really say why you are.
Oh.
Yes.
It just happens.
Yeah, it happens. But there are things, the risk factors, things that if you do them or if you have, then you are at a higher risk of getting high blood pressure than someone who doesn't have them or who doesn't do some things. For example, if you're overweight, you are at a higher risk. If you have, if you take a lot of alcohol, your risk increases. If you smoke, your risk increases. Some guys, if you are diabetic, but it's not a must, you get high blood pressure if you are diabetic. But those risk factors that I'm talking about, again, they also predispose someone to diabetes. So we get a lot of questions whether high blood pressure and diabetes are brothers and sisters.
Yeah, because you find that many people have the two.
Yeah, but it is because the risk factors are the same. So those guys who live that kind of lifestyle, they don't exercise, all that, and then again age, because they are divided into modifiable risk factors, like you can, if you don't exercise, you can exercise and modify that lifestyle. If you eat the wrong food, you can start eating the right food. You can modify that lifestyle. If you're overweight, you can lose weight, you can modify. But if you're male, you cannot change.
If you're male?
Yes.
What do you mean?
As in, that is one of the risk factors.
Oh, so men are at a higher risk
Yes.
of getting hypertension.
Yes, but not, okay,
I didn't know
at
that.
a younger age than ladies.
Oh, really?
Yes. If you're over the age of 40, you cannot modify your age. If guys get high blood pressure in your family, you cannot modify
That's
that.
genetics.
Yes, so those risk factors are there, but we cannot like blame one and say this is the one that causes.
Hypertension.
Yes, so in 95% of the patients.
The causes are known.
Yes.
And people also are related to stress. So, ukipata mtu mwenye ako na blood pressure anambia, mbona unafikiria sana? Mbona uko na stress?
Na ni ukweli.
Yeah.
It is very true. Actually, stress is one of the risk factors. Again, sitting down for long, it is a disease.
Okay.
You're supposed to, like, after every 20 to 30 minutes, stand up, walk around, do something. And this is happening to not, when we talk about sitting down, people think about the guys who work in offices.
Behind the desk.
Yes, but if you go to wherever, to a market, your mama mboga spends the whole day seated.
As much as they're in action, but they're still seated.
Yeah, they're still seated. The Buddha guy will spend the whole day waiting for customers seated on his
bike.
Yes. And another thing, snoring.
What do you mean?
Yes.
Why is snoring a risk factor? Okay.
It occurs again mostly in guys who are overweight. And it is a disease, actually, which there are even specialists who are working on it.
Oh, really?
Yes. And it causes a disease called sleep apnea. So it is important that guys understand that. And because that not only is it a risk factor to causing high blood pressure, it can cause heart diseases. It can also cause diabetes.
Just snoring?
Yes.
Okay. That's a new one. What is it about snoring that poses a risk to you getting all these other diseases?
So those guys who have spouses who snore, they should check the pattern. This guy, when he snores, there comes a point where they just keep quiet, like they are not breathing. Yes.
Okay.
So there's a lot of mechanism involved, but what we know is that eventually it can cause heart diseases, diabetes, high blood pressure, and all that. So it is important for guys to know these things.
So couples should not be annoyed at their partner, because why people are like, we are anamorota sana, and you're mad, but actually your partner is sick.
Yes,
That is a new one. Okay, and before I interrupted you, you were telling us about the science of the vessels and getting. So how does the pressure now affect the vessels and its functionality and everything?
So there are a lot of changes that occur to the covering, the inner covering of your blood vessel. And then again, as I said, these guys tend to maybe have big bodies. If you check their cholesterol level, could be high. So their cholesterol is good. It's divided into the good cholesterol and the bad cholesterol. So you will find that they have a lot of the bad cholesterol. And the bad cholesterol, what it does, it sticks to your blood vessels. So slowly by slowly, there is build-up of it at a certain point of your blood vessel. And then, for whatever reason, one day there is an injury to that cholesterol, for whatever reason. And we all know what happens when we get injured. Even if you cut your finger, you are going to form a clot.
Yeah.
The same thing will happen to that vessel. You will form a clot. And then what will that clot do? It will block the vessel completely. Like in the heart, if it blocks one of the major vessels that supply the heart, it means that a very big part of your heart muscle will not get enough blood, or there will be no supply of blood to a very big chunk of your heart, and you get a heart attack.
Okay.
If it's the brain, you get a stroke. If it is your lower limb or your legs, the supply of blood to your muscle is cut off. Eventually, that muscle dies off, and then you have to go and get amputated.
Just like that.
Yeah, if it's in the eyes, the same thing. You lose your sight.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
The cases where you hear that people died and the cause of death is that they had a blood clot.
Yes.
So what they're saying is that they actually had, it was hypertension. They had an underlying condition.
Okay. Blood clots can come because of many things, not necessarily high blood pressure. There are other conditions that can predispose one to getting a blood clot. Yes. So, like there are some conditions of the heart where the heart rhythm is affected, and then someone can form a clot inside the heart, which can travel to any part of the body, leading to blockage. So, yes, could be one of the reasons, but we cannot blame high blood pressure for clot formation. You could be having diseases of blood itself that lead to clot formation. You could be having diseases like the one I've talked about, rhythm, the rhythm of the heart is abnormal, leading to clot formation. So you cannot blame high blood pressure for that. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, I read somewhere that Africa has the highest prevalence of hypertension globally, and more than 40% of adults over 25 are affected. And I don't know what you think about this, if you agree with this stats. I don't know why Africa, because I feel like in the West that they're more prone to getting it because of their lifestyle. Because in Africa, as much as we have changed nowadays and people are doing a lot of junk food and there's a sedentary lifestyle, but in the West they have more of that compared to Africa. So why is it like that?
Okay. One of the things is that in the West, people do actually take care of their health, or make sure that they know how their body operates.
Okay.
I don't know how many people in this room have ever had their blood pressure checked. I don't know.
Yeah, no, not me. Probably not get many unless they're going for, the normal checkup before you go to see a doctor. That's probably when most people get checked.
In fact, this month we call it May Measurement Month. We encourage people to go and have their blood pressure checked. So again, there are a lot of things, environmental factors, poverty, stress, our health-seeking behavior is also not as good. Our healthcare systems are not available to a lot of people. So those could be the reasons as to why Africans are getting or have more blood pressure than the West or the white or the other guys, because not just high blood pressure, many conditions when we study, it's shown that they affect more blacks than whites.
Like,
And
what does
even in the West, you will where the blacks are also live in areas where their poverty index is higher than
the white?
yeah. So I think, and from what is known, is the environmental factors, but also our genetics, because studies have shown there are some medications which we, the Africans, help lower blood pressure, but for Azungus, it's some different kind of medication. So the system that we use to lower blood pressure, or the system that is affected in our body as blacks, it has been shown to be different somewhat from the whites. So there are some medications that we give that which are first line, and we are using them nowadays as the first medication that we give people in our communities, and it is different from the white people. Number one, our blood vessels tend to harden, let me use that word, so that people can understand. And then again, we tend to retain salt and water more than they do.
Wow.
So that's why we are using some kind of medications have been shown to work better in our population than in whites.
Okay.
Yes.
That is something. So as Africans, we are a bit disadvantaged, but we are tough. Now, there's something else. For other diseases, I understand, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that diabetes type 2, especially if you're newly diagnosed, it can be reversible. It is reversible if you change your lifestyle, right? But is it the same with the hypertension? Is it reversible? Like, can you not have hypertension after you've been diagnosed with it?
It is. I even have friends who have been able to reverse.
Wow. How is it possible?
One of them was into a sherehe, and he stopped actually completely, started exercising, and for the last 2 years he's been okay.
Blood pressure no more.
Yeah, he lost weight and all that, and lifestyle modification, exercising, and now things like reducing the amount of alcohol, because alcohol in itself increases your blood pressure. Every time you drink, your blood pressure will go up.
Okay.
So exercise, lifestyle modification, very important. They can lead to lowering of the blood pressure. And things like, for smoking, we tell people you should stop. That one we don't discuss. At least for alcohol, we tell people you can do it in moderation.
And this is smoking even for shisha, just to make it clear.
Even vaping.
Vaping, yeah.
Even vaping. So that one should stop. Alcohol, yes, moderation. Not taking a whole muzinga alone. That will affect you. So it is true For diabetes also it is true, but it requires a lot of discipline.
For you to maintain it.
A lot of discipline, because
Okay.
there are a lot of many things, especially the good foods, the ones that
That you need to avoid.
you crave for. Those ones, you need to avoid those. And it requires a lot of discipline. So if you know that you cannot be able to, then don't try.
Don't. Okay.
Yes, take your medication. But if you are disciplined enough, yes, it is true. Diabetes can be reversed. Even high blood pressure can be reversed. But even after reversing, it can still come later. So you have to keep on checking your BP, you have to keep on checking your blood sugar to make sure that it's not coming back. Yes.
And as you mentioned, May is the checking month. Yeah.
Yes.
So how often should one check the blood pressure for someone who's never been diagnosed? So how often should you go and, let me see, randomly, you know, I'm not sick, I just want to go and check if my pressures are fine. How often should people do that?
If we are below 40, once a year.
Once a year, okay.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. After 40, twice a year.
Because
Yes.
the chances increase.
Chances increase.
Okay.
So, yeah, people, you know, and I don't know, I think people have not had their blood pressure checked, so they don't know what happens. So some people fear, but it's a very simple test that takes less than a minute, and there is no pain involved.
Yeah, it's usually, I'm sure many people are at least conversant with that. You know, it's usually the machine,
The cuff,
the
yeah.
curve, there. But there's also another one that people, I've seen someone using. There's the normal one that we have, but then there's the wrist one.
Yes.
So which one is effective, and how does this other one work? Because it seems
They still work
easier.
the same. They do work the same, but what we know and what we use most of the time is the one that we use, the cuff, the arm. But that one can still help.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. There's a situation, just before we come to a close on this, of a friend who recently lost a friend through a heart attack, and it was a blow because this was a young person in the early 30s, you know, around 30, thereabout. And she was just like 2 months before her death, diagnosed with high blood pressure. So that was new to her, and she just went to the hospital like because of something very small, and told you have high blood pressure, and then she was put on medication. But then on the day she passed, she was very okay. She was very lively. She had fun with friends, and then went to the beach. But then when she came back in the house, suddenly, it was just so sudden, she started to feel a lot of heat, you know, wanted the clothes to be removed, you know, so everything was just, her body was just stunned all of a sudden. And before as she was being rushed to hospital, she passed on. So how, you know, just to paint a picture of how sudden it can be and the importance of taking medication. So how can that happen? Like, how can that really happen for someone who's very much alive and okay?
Actually, okay, we say time is muscle in heart medicine, because mostly within 4 hours, you're supposed to have gone to the hospital. The doctor checks which blood vessel is affected and opens it up.
So when you're diagnosed with hypertension?
When you start getting that chest pain, when the heart attack is happening. Once, because most of the heart attack, most of the time there is pain that occurs in the middle of your chest.
So right at the center of your chest.
Yes, most of the time. It can occur even below or on the side, even back, but most of the time. And people describe it as a feeling of an elephant sitting on their chest. So it's quite intense.
Okay.
So if you feel that, and sometimes it can, when that is happening, you can also feel it on your neck and also the arm.
On the arm.
Yes. So once that starts, you should go to hospital. They should take you to a place where they're able to check which blood vessels is affected, and that blood vessel is opened within those 4 hours.
Okay.
But up to 24 hours. So it is quite sudden.
So if it's not done, checked within those hours,
You
you
can-
get go ahead and get a heart attack.
You can, already that is a heart attack.
Okay.
Yeah, once you start feeling that, it is happening. So you can be saved and go back to normal if you go to hospital within 4 hours. But again, up to 24 hours also can work. But after that, you can either, it's not necessarily that someone will die, but their heart will be affected in a big way. They will get a heart failure. Because what is happening is what I told you, there is blockage. So blood is not going through to whatever part of the heart. And that part dies off. So if it's a big muscle, a big part of your heart, then it means that heart cannot be able to pump blood.
Blood anymore.
Yes.
That's
So
a
it's
problem.
unfortunate what happened to your friend, but again, that means these things are happening to young people.
Even the young people now.
So yeah, so it's important that guys have their blood pressure, blood sugar checked, because it can happen to anyone. Nowadays, things are happening very fast.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So we need, and I love how you've said it, you know, your body sort of talks to you in as much as it's sudden, your body speaks to you. So you
It
need to
will.
take
Yes,
caution
yes,
in
yes.
whatever you're feeling every other time.
Yeah.
As a final word to close it up from what we've discussed, what would that be? You can speak through this camera directly.
Let's have our blood pressure checked. That is very, very important. Another very important thing is let's talk to each other. There is a lot of stress that people are carrying around. And the problem with stress is that people think that it is a kawaida thing, but like in our practice, we are seeing about almost 50% of our patients have some degree of stress, meaning a lot of guys out here are having stress. And these are the guys who come to you every month, their blood pressure is not being controlled. You check everything, but then one day when you sit them down and talk to them, you realize that they have something that is not okay. Maybe in their family, maybe, you know, their friends or something. So guys, let's talk to each other. It doesn't show weakness, especially for us men, you know. I know we sometimes think that kukuwa mwanaume ni kujikaza, ni kukaa ngumu. No, it's not. Mwanaume ni kujipenda na kujifikiria. So please, kindly, that is very, very important. We really must take it seriously because it is affecting our people a lot.
Right.
And May Measurement Month, walking to any hospital. I don't think there is anyone who would refuse to get your blood pressure checked or charge you for blood pressure.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you. You want to share your social media as well?
Yeah. Social media is Ikahu on Twitter, on Instagram, TikTok. Facebook is George Ikahu, and yeah, my name is George Ikahu. I check hearts. That's what I do. I diagnose heart diseases and management. And we are in Thika and Embu. Embu, we are opposite the governor's office. So our life, my everyday hustle, everyday thing is the heart. We have cardiologists, both for children and for adults. So you can always get us, yeah, even on my handles, or even our office line, 0715 039 443. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. George. You said Ikahu Wangoro.
Ikahu Wangoro.
I don't know Kikuyu, but I know that for sure is Ikahu Wahat.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much for your wisdom in this area, the details that you've shared with us. I'm sure now you are more aware about hypertension, high blood pressure, and the importance of you getting checked. And mostly the importance of you not getting stressed and just sharing it out, whatever you have, with your friend or whoever that you trust, so that you lift off the burden from yourself and stay away from all the triggers that will bring you hypertension. So with that, we're going to take a short break, and then Kalamiva will be back with the next interview. Stay with us.